I can promise you now, if you just increase your taqwa, your life would be so much easier. And you know those goals that you have to achieve great things, you'd achieve them. It's that simple. But very quickly, because I think a lot of people misunderstand taqwa. They think it's just fear of Allah. Some people think it's just consciousness of Allah. But it's kind of a mix of both. What it is really is just understanding the fact that everything you do, the thought of Allah has to be in your mind, so that when you're about to do something, not only do you do it in a way that would please Him. Remember, the way you do something, even if it's not inherently haram, you can do something in a way that pleases Him. Like when you eat your food, right? You can say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. You can keep eating, and every bite you say Bismillah. The way you chew it can be in the way of the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My point is that everything you do that is inherently good or just neutral, you can do it in a way that pleases Him. And everything that is bad, you become aware of so that you can avoid it. So it's just this idea of constantly having Allah in your mind. You might be thinking, well, how do I do that? Inshallah, I'll give you a tip by the end of the video about how you can increase your taqwa, how I've been personally able to try and increase it and continuously try and increase it, because it's something I'm working on very deeply. But just understand this. Everything you want in this life can only be achieved when you reach or attain a certain level of taqwa. I had a friend who messaged me the other day. He was like, Fedi, I'm finding things really difficult in my life right now. Everything that is good that happens to me ends up being taken away, right? And then I got a message from my brother on Instagram, and he was telling me, Fedi, you know, I get this job, I make a bit of money, and then all of a sudden I lose the job. I get this delivery job, I lose the job after a couple of days of making money. Point is, every time he's about to make money, he loses it all. And when I told him, and it sounds a bit harsh, and it sounds not really like the advice he was hoping for, I can tell by the way he responded to me. But the point is, I told him, look, every single thing in this life is supposed to get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what He wants for us. He wants for us as Muslims to get closer to Him, okay? And so you have to understand that everything in this life is a lesson for you to increase your taqwa in some capacity. And if you don't learn that lesson, if you don't increase your taqwa as a consequence of going through what you went through in this life, then you haven't learned your lesson. Allah will keep giving you the same lesson again and again and again until you take from it what is good for you. And that thing that is good for you is taqwa, to increase the likelihood of you thinking of Allah, to go, oh, okay, maybe I'm too attached to wealth. Maybe I'm so obsessed with money. That's why Allah is withholding it from me. I keep getting the same lesson. I work hard, I do what I need to do, but I don't get the goal. Maybe it's because I'm obsessed with the goal rather than being obsessed with pleasing Allah. Right? You have to understand, everything Allah does is from rahmatuhu, from His mercy. And so when you understand that, you get to understand the fact that every single lesson is a lesson to be learned so that you can increase yourself in taqwa, in the consciousness of Allah. So let me tell you something from the Quran. You can critique it if you like in the comments, but I'm going to read it. It's from Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah's book, which I like a lot. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن تتقوا الله يجعل لكم فرقانا ويكفر عنكم سيئاتكم ويغفر لكم والله ذو الفضل العظيم. So the translation, right? You who have faith, يا أيها الذين آمنوا. If you have taqwa, إن تتقوا الله, right? If you have taqwa of Allah, He will give you discrimination and erase your bad deeds from you and forgive you. And what does discrimination mean in this case, right? Imam Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah has a lot of notes on discrimination. The main point is to this: discrimination is nobility. So Allah makes you noble, right? He raises you above other people. He gives you aid, so He helps you in your times of hardship. He gives you victory, whether it be over your enemies or over your nafs, okay? And light, nur, in your heart. So He gives you light in your heart. And I want to quickly talk about the nobility part, because remember, I'm telling you that it's going to increase, right, and help you get to your goals. Nobility is being raised, okay? Being raised above other things, meaning being raised above your goals, having them achieved, being raised above other people, meaning like becoming a alim. Do you see what I mean? Like there's somebody who has no ilm and then somebody who has a lot of ilm. So it's basically being raised in everything that you do. And with that in mind, you can understand now, this is, by the way, if you're curious about the ayah itself and the surah, just in case you want to go read it yourself. Let me see if I can find it. Al-Anfal, right? So Al-Anfal is the 8th surah in the Quran, and this is ayah 29. When you understand that taqwa helps you become discriminated in a good way, not in a bad way, helps you be discriminated, and it helps you achieve the things you want to achieve in life. The next question you ask yourself is, how do I genuinely increase myself in taqwa? And that's what I wanted to talk about, really. This is why I wanted to make this video, because this is like me expressing myself in terms of my journey with taqwa, right? The best way I kind of learned it so far, I'm thinking I'm near the beginning stages, right? And if you're ahead of me, then this might be useless to you. But in the beginning stages of taqwa, right, the first thing I kind of do more of is trying to bring myself to have more khushu', which is more like focus and sincerity and purpose and like being more present in my prayer. And how do I do that? When I say Allahu Akbar, I kind of reset myself. So the first thing I wanted to do is basically fix my prayer, fix my focus in my prayer. So that's the first thing you need to do as well. And you do that when you say Allahu Akbar. You really deep that meaning. You really think about that meaning. Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest. You know, greatest is annoying because greatest, there's no comparison. Whereas in English, when you say greatest, it means greater than other things, right? The best out of a group of things. But Allah is just, He's way beyond anything. So when you say Allahu Akbar, you remind yourself your goals, your problems, they're tiny compared to Allah. And who can solve them for you? Who brought them to you? Who can solve them? Who brought them? Who can take them away? Allah. Right? And then you read the Quran. And then Allahu Akbar. Again, you reset yourself. Just in case you got distracted, you reset yourself with the words Allahu Akbar. When you're going to sajda, Allahu Akbar. Every time you're going to sujood, Allahu Akbar. Like when you remind yourself of Allah being the greatest, you can increase that focus in prayer. Right? That was the first thing I did. Alhamdulillah, I've been doing it for a while now. And once you reach a certain level of like khushu' during prayer, the prayer itself becomes incredibly peaceful. You start loving the prayer for the peace that it brings you as well. Okay. The second thing, and this is kind of a tip that's more, it's more applicable in your day to day, because obviously you pray 5 times, you might pray the sunnah, you might pray the tahajjud, whatever it would be, but you pray a limited amount, right? You're not praying every single day all the time. Do something, just in whatever action you take, in your business, in your school, in like anything you do, when you speak to your parents, do something consciously knowing that it pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So yesterday, I was in Greg's, right? So it's like a UK chain, and I was just getting a coffee, okay? And when I went downstairs, this guy, he wanted like a vegan sausage roll, and I got the last one, right? It wasn't a vegan sausage roll, so it's like a vegan breakfast thing, okay? And I can tell he was Muslim. I grabbed it. I'm about to walk and pay for it, and he goes, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Where'd you get that from?" I was like, "Oh, it's the last one, mate. Do you want it?" He's like, is that all right? And I was like, yeah, take it. And I gave it to him. Why? Because in that moment, when he bumped me and he asked me, I knew for a fact that he was going to ask me that he wanted one. And I knew what would please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I eat this or that I give it to somebody else who wants it more than me. And that every single day, when you just, even if it's just once a day, by the way, when you consciously think, what can I do in this exact moment that would please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will increase in your taqwa. And remember, everything comes from Him, right? So when you think of Him, He'll think of you, right? أذكروني أذكركم أشكروني ولا تكفرون. Right? You probably hear that every Salat al-Jum'ah, at the end of the khutbah. So that's my main point. Like, bi'idhnillah, it's helped you just understanding a bit more about taqwa, why it's generally one of the most important things. Like a last point on this, I had a debate with one of my friends. He's a alim. He's a lovely, lovely guy. It's just amazing. He's like, really quick point. Kurds, like, they're a mixed bag in the UK, but this guy represents the best of the Kurdish people I've ever met. Like, I love this guy so much. I love him for the sake of Allah. But basically, we're having an argument. And I was like, فَذَكِّرْ إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُذَكِّرْ. What do you think about that? Right? Allah gives us our purpose as dhikr. He's like, taqwa is the purpose. Dhikr, it's just so that you can attain taqwa. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. So, as you can see my point, like, taqwa is incredibly important. And hopefully I've made it easy for you to understand the kind of 2 steps you can start taking now to increase yourself in taqwa. Like I said, I'm not an expert on this. I'm not an alim. I'm not like incredibly learned. I'm not a sheikh. So I give you this from my experience. And inshallah, it benefits you in some capacity. May Allah bless you. May Allah increase you in this life. May He increase you in the next. May He bless your parents with shifa, good health, sustenance. May we be reunited in gentle firdaus. Allahumma ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.